to a special episode of Dicejunkies. We have a very special guest with us today, Marissa Lenti. For those of you that are anime fans, you'll probably recognize her. She's also done several games, exclusively the Borderlands 3 series as Moe's, which, if you've actually paid attention to us, you'll probably see some Moe's videos that I've loaded up as well. And I'm going to load some new ones here pretty soon. Also, some of her major credits are Dragonball Super as Kakati, Fairy Tail as the Celestial Spirit Libra, and then Nambaka as Momoko. So those are some of her bigger ones, but she has over 160 some odd credits that we found on IMDb. So you can definitely check out all of her other works. So Marissa, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, we're definitely very glad to have you online. We've been chatting back and forth for a while. And we're very, very thankful for your time.
Oh.
So one of the first credits that you actually was credited for was Tokyo ESP. What can you tell us about getting started in the business as being a voice actress, and how did you acquire your actual first gig?
Yeah, so that was my very first anime gig over at Funimation. Before that, I had been doing voice acting online. So I did some indie games, some commercials, all from my home studio in Boston, where I was going to school. And then I moved to Texas, and took a little while, but I managed to get an audition at Funimation for Fairy Tail, actually, for a character that I did not book. But after I did that audition, the director was kind enough to have me in to do additional voices on his other show, which at the time was Tokyo ESP. That was my first time doing anime. I was very nervous.
Oh, I'll bet.
But it was great because after I did those additional voices, I went on to do additional voices for several other shows, just kind of learning the ropes, getting taught, how to match lip sync and do background chatter. And then my first named character was on Fairy Tail, and it turned out to be Libra instead.
Right, and that was actually your first big break, was actually being cast as Libra from Fairy Tail.
Definitely, yeah.
What can you tell us about your experience on that project playing as Libra?
Well, at first I thought I was super lucky because Libra has a face covering from like her nose down. So I didn't have to match lip sync. And I was like, this is great. My first anime character, I don't have to match the lip sync. I can just worry about timing and then I'll get really good at this and then I'll be ready to go when I have a character with lip sync. And then about, I want to say 3 episodes later, the Eclipse spirit arc started, where all of the spirits get turned evil and her mask flip-flops so that it covers her eyes and her mouth is uncovered. And I was like, oh no.
Now that's the only thing they can see, so.
Whoops. But it was good. I learned the ropes of how to do lip sync on that show. It wasn't the first show that I got to announce. My first named character that I ever got to actually announce was Ultimate Otaku Teacher. I played one of the character's mothers on that. But I was doing it concurrently with Fairy Tail, and it just turned out that one got released sooner. Whereas I didn't get to talk about Fairy Tail for like a whole year after I did it. But then I told people like, hey, this was my first character. You don't know it because I've been announcing other stuff in the interim, but this was my first one. And I really got taught, how to do anime dubbing on that. Because I was a voice actor, but I did not have any ADR or anime experience before that show.
Yeah, I actually watched Fairy Tail, so I'm actually the person that's familiar with the characters. And when I found out you're Libra, I said, okay, that fits your motif of playing, these very no-nonsense. Because Libra does not play around. In a lighthearted show, Libra is not one of the zodiac spirits you want to get on the bad side of. But you also got to play that dual role. That was cool. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, she gets to kind of flip-flop and be evil for an arc, which was very fun. I was like, oh, my first character, and I get to, do all these different things. But yeah, for a show as wacky as Fairy Tail, she is very no-nonsense.
Yeah, that had to be something that you're like, I've been playing this character this way, and then they come back and go like, so now you're evil. And you're like, why? It says, because it's the arc.
Yeah. Well, it was cool because I was actually the second voice of Libra. There was another actress who was playing her before me who moved away from Texas and they had to replace her. So the first couple episodes that I was playing Libra, I was voice matching the original. And then when she turned into Eclipse Libra, they were like, okay, you don't have to worry about the voice match anymore now. You can do whatever you want because this is a different version of the character. So, do your version now. And I was like, great, this is fun.
So they gave you an artistic license, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's always the most fun.
Well, it also then she got to really own the character. Then that's when she's like, now it's mine.
Yeah, it's no longer dubbing.
And it's evil, and I could see Marissa enjoying that. I don't know why. I just get this feeling you had a lot of fun with that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Speaking of fun, what was your favorite project to actually work on, either as an actress or as a director?
Ooh, you're opening up a wide chasm of options when you say that.
You have a lot of experience, a lot of different projects, so we're kind of curious to see which ones are your favorite or favorites.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to compartmentalize it because if I just pick every show, it's gonna be hard. So favorite show to work on as an actor, I would say The Ones Within, which is this really fun like death game anime, basically. But nobody dies. It's a lot goofier than your typical death game anime. And I got to play a yandere, which she's basically a psychopath.
I had no yandere. That's why I was like, ooh.
Yeah, she's in love with the main guy. And she's definitely crazy. And I'm like, oh, I've never gotten to do this. And she was also like a glasses chick and a teenager, which I don't usually get to play the teenage protagonists. So I was like, this is really fun. This is really cool. And I would say that it was my favorite to work on it as an actor because there was a really good sense of cast camaraderie. Me and the rest of the cast, we all got along really well. We all would like hang out and do streams and we were really into this show, even though like it seemed like not a lot of people watched The Ones Within. But we were having a lot of fun with it. And I think we were the show's biggest fans. So we were just like, yeah, this is great. I'm having a good time. As a director, probably Kimono Friends. That show is so cute and wholesome. It's got a cast of 55 unique actresses. So I got to have a lot of different actresses come in, and I got to talk with all of them and hang out with all of them. My leads, Susie Young and Danny Chambers, were a delight. And there were a lot of inside jokes and memes. A lot of people have seen the blooper reel for that. It's on YouTube. It's got a couple 100,000 views now of people just being like, blooper reels, because they're so rare nowadays for anime. So we just had a lot of fun on that one. And then I'll also slip in as a writer, because I also write anime scripts. My favorite show to write was a show called Actors Songs Connection, which is a show about idol boys. So it's about singing. And we got to dub all the songs, but then it devolves into like mystery. We have to fight for our lives. The whole world is a simulation kind of stuff. And it's just so weird and esoteric. And I just had a lot of fun writing that one.
That does sound very unique. And wow, like I'm still wowed by that cast you said of over like 50 plus unique actors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow. And in anime, it's so common that they go like, all right, we got 5 voice actors and we're just going to, have them voice multiple characters.
All
we
20
saw that
characters, yeah.
because we even saw that with some of your jobs where you were on a show and you voiced maybe 3 characters, or
Right.
several characters. So that's really cool. Y'all decided to give so many characters a unique voice. I personally prefer that.
I mean, like, that show is funny because in the Japanese, those characters didn't have unique voices. They doubled up in the Japanese version because there are some characters who only had like one line. But when you structure a show a certain way, you can have like a group of actresses come in. They do all the background chatter, so like all the crowd cheering and stuff. And then you just split them up and have them each do one line. So they all play a unique character. So we were able to do it like that and get it to where every character had their own unique voice, except there's 3 characters who had to be voiced by the same actress for lore reasons. But everybody else got their own unique character and it was just fun. And I was like, this show is about, friendship and people coming together and everyone being included. So I was like, let's get a bunch of people in. Let's include a bunch of people on the family. And then if we ever get to do another season, we'll bring in even more people and it'll just keep growing and growing.
Wow.
Of people who are like, you were in that show? I was in that show. oh, we were all in that show. And it's just fun that way. And I also got to put together a cast that wasn't all Texas at a time where it was still kind of rare to do that. We had actresses flying in from all over the place, from Florida, from the middle of the country, from California, from New York, just all kind of coming together to do this show. And that was really, really special too.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was actually surprised to find out that a lot of voice actors and actresses do multiple voices. Like Hank Azaria does like 20 characters on The Simpsons. Is there any actor or actress that gives you inspiration or that you kind of try to imitate as far as being able to have a more diverse range as far as your abilities?
Ooh, well, I've always been, I don't know if I can name any, like just one person, but one of my favorite anime dubs of all time is Digimon. I grew up on that show.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And that show has a lot of doubling up in places where you can't even really tell because they're all doing like celebrity impressions and, you know, really wacky monster voices and stuff. And I'm like, I want to be that person, you know, the person where I could be playing a human character in the show, but then I'm also doing all these wacky creature, you know, monster things, and you can't tell one from the other. I'm like, I want to be like that. And so, like, you know, we were just a friend of mine and me were watching the movie, the Digimon movie, like just the other night, and I was pointing out like, and that's Mona Marshall again, and that is also Mona Marshall, and then you hear Palmon's voice. There she is as a bit part. And she's like, I wouldn't have even noticed. And I'm like, isn't that cool? I like that. I want to be like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My oldest son has actually have been talking lately about trying to become a voice actor. I'm like, you do realize there's a lot more training than just going in, sitting in front of a microphone and talking.
This creates a question I have to ask you. I got to sit there before we get off subject. Is that, have you ever had to do then, we've talked to some voice actors, and one of the most interesting things they describe is the infamous scenario where you're talking to yourself. You know, you end up voicing characters having conversation. Have you ever actually had to do that one? Because I've always heard that. They said that's like the weirdest moment where you have to do two parts of a conversation.
No, I don't think I have. The closest I've gotten to it, and this is as close as I've gotten to my monster dream, is I'm in a couple shows as a human and also an animal. And sometimes they'll be in the same scene together. But, you know, at that point, like you hear, you know, meowing or barking and you're like, yeah, whatever. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. But I don't think I've ever had two characters of mine talk. No.
Yeah, I think one of the things that comes to mind when I think about Q's question is Robin Williams in Aladdin, where he's bouncing back and forth between characters, and it's amazing that someone can actually chain those thoughts and change their voice on the fly like that.
You don't know the secret? Robin Williams had a special power. See, Robin Williams actually is like 20 or 30 different people just tucked into one shell. Well, you know, like posthumously, great guy, huge Robin Williams fan. But I always used to think that he just went like, oh, I'll just pull out 3 or 4 personalities and have them argue with each other. Because I asked that question because it's the argument that was the most infamous. They say when you've got to yell at yourself and argue with yourself, they always said that was like the weirdest moment. Well, you're a writer and director, so you know you can make it happen whenever you're ready.
That's true.
Absolutely.
I try to be sparing when it comes to cameoing in my own shows, but you better believe if there's like a cat, I'm gonna be that cat.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be that cat.
We were actually watching one of your cat characters slap somebody and call him a nerd earlier this morning.
Yes.
Like, shut up, nerd.
That's Actor Songs Connection, so I wrote that script.
So you decided to have the cat slap someone to call him a nerd. That earns extra points with me now.
Yeah.
I was like, there you go.
Nerd.
And that was...
I was like, that's way funnier. We got to do that.
Oh, it was hilarious. We laughed out loud, actually.
Even Zeno, like, was over there just go like, did that cat just call him a nerd? We're like, yeah, she slapped him too. Like,
that's how I felt towards that character the whole time I was writing him. I was like, Satsuma, you nerd. So I was like, I get to channel it right here.
The benefits of being multi-talented, where you can be on all different parts of the camera, you know.
Yeah, I mean, writing, directing, it's really fun. I like it all just as much as being a voice actor. And you know, for stuff like Kimono Friends, where I wrote and directed, you get really attached. You get really attached to you know, the properties that you get to work on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're not just doing a voice. You're actually using your creativity, and it's coming from something inside of you. So I can
Mm-hmm.
definitely see that will be a lot more special than just dubbing an anime or voicing a character in a game. Spe-
Yeah, when you voice the character, you get very attached mostly to your character. Like you go, yeah, that's my character. But when you write or direct, you get attached to the whole show, the whole franchise. You're like, this is my thing. I gotta I take care of it. And people notice whenever I write something like Actor Songs Connection, I've got a very particular style in that I'm constantly putting in quips and memes and jokes where appropriate, like "shut up, nerd." Um, and that is very born from Digimon. It's the same way like those scripts were done. I think that they're so masterful in the fact that like they have the original spirit, but they are funnier. And I'm like, that's cool. I like that. I like that style. I like the feeling of like I'm having such a great time watching this because it's funny, but it's not downgrading the material. It's not talking down to the kids. It's not, we're not making fun of the material. We're just having fun with it. And like that's my whole, I don't know, MO.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's funny you mentioned that because one of the things that I always thought was interesting, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I couldn't tell with the tattoos and everything. Is George Lucas actually wanted to talk up to the kids, and you mentioned you didn't want to talk down to the kids because
Hmm.
one of the things that drives me crazy is everyone has to explain everything as opposed to let it be open to interpretation. So
Hmm.
that's actually very refreshing because a lot of things nowadays they have to explain everything soup to nuts, and you don't have the opportunity to debate back and forth like we're just talking about the new WandaVision and our some of the theories that we have going on with what's actually happening with the series. We can actually debate and discuss and talk versus they say, okay, this is what's happening from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've opened my eyes a little bit because I actually was a Digimon watcher as well, and I always felt that there was something unique about that show, and she just pointed it out, and it's great to hear that you've held on to that and made it a part of your style. Is that yeah, it quipped like they didn't just do goofy gags like I'm trying to just attack it, but like Pokemon and stuff. They actually had a lot of conversations that felt a little more organic, where somebody would kind of make a comment, make a joke. There was a lot of quipping in there, and I didn't think about it until she said it. That I looked back and said, "Oh yeah, I did do that a lot."
Yeah.
So that's
I
awesome
love
that
it.
you've kept that tradition going because a lot of these shows now don't do that.
And I mean, they had great material to work with. I think that the Digimon anime is really good.
Hmm.
Even in Japanese, it's just a great show. But the scripting on that is so tight. I'm like, that's just it's one of those things where I watch it back, and now that I've worked in anime, I can see like, oh, they could have tightened up the flaps there, like the sync is not quite right, or they could have written this and that would have been better, or like I don't really know how I feel about that vocal choice for that character. But when I watch Digimon, it feels like a solid product. Like I don't see the seams the way that I do on every other show. I'm like, I can't tell. Like if you told me that there was a possibility that this character's voice could have been different, I'd be like, that's impossible because
Mm.
that's just what he sounds like. That's the voice. And there's very few places in that show where I'm like, oh, the script could have been better here, or like I don't like that word choice. It's very solid. And that's why I keep going back to it. And I'm like, this is what I want to make because it feels like the Digimon dub. It doesn't feel like a dub that some guys made. It is the one. It is the product. And like with Kimono Friends, I was like, yeah, we can't talk down to the kids. We can add jokes, make it more fun. We can, but like let's not over explain what's going on. Let's let the show speak for itself. And also the only thing that I really had to watch out for was like I can get a little over exaggerated with my prose, and I can use kind of big words when I'm writing stuff. So I'm like, okay, we'll steer away from some of my favorite turns of phrase that maybe won't make any sense to a kid.
Well,
And when
but
I
that's how they learn
got,
them, though. Like they look them
well,
up.
yeah, we can hint just a little bit, so that
Mhm.
they can kind of, but like not too much, because then they'll be like, I don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Um, but when we got the dub back, I watched it with my niece and nephew, and they like followed along. They got the plot. They were like invested in it, and I was like, cool, man, it worked. Like, and I felt good about it.
Mm. And also, when you mentioned it, I was so glad to hear that. So it isn't just me, because I know sometimes I sit there and I'm not. Yeah, you're an actual writer, director, voice actor, but there have been times I've been sitting there and just like, that voice does not match that character's face, and it kills me. And I have to go back to the like sub, because I'm just like, every time this person opens their mouth, it sounds so weird, because like, if you watch a lot of anime and you've gotten used to characters, you get a feel for kind of what you expect the character to sound like. Mm-hmm. And I know that I've sat there before and I've just been like, ouch. And I got to get at the Funimation that they really tend, like, I love all their Dragon Ball stuff, because the voices are so ingrained in my mind that when I try to watch the older dubs, I cannot do it. I can't. It's like you said for Digimon. I can't imagine any character, even the monsters' voices seem to match them so perfectly. Even Gatomon and Garumon and all of them, and Devilman and Angelwoman and all of them. It's like when they even transform and the voice changes, I'm just like, okay, that's perfect. That's
yeah.
I would not want to watch a redub of that.
It just goes to show that, like, dubs they're entertainment products at the end of the day. Yeah. And, you see a lot of people who are like, dubs suck. And then you have people on the other side being like, no, shut up. All dubs are great because everyone's trying really hard. And I'm like, neither of these are true. Everything that you make, every entertainment product you make is the sum of its parts. And you can make something great or something subpar or something terrible or something amazing, something perfect. I mean, not anything is objectively perfect, but it can feel perfect to the audience. And they slide that scale. Everything slides that scale, depending on the team working on it, depending on their budget, depending on, the landscape at the time and how much they tried. So, there's no right answer to like, are dubs good? It's like, sometimes, man.
Sometimes they're indispensable. And then other times you're like, I think I'd rather just read this. Like, I mean, I think I just want to turn all the volume off and just read the story.
We've actually debated on the show, would you rather watch dubs or subs? And we've kind of bounced back and forth a couple of times, depending on the quality.
Dubs that are so good, because the original Dragon Ball character voices make me want to cry. Like, they're like, and I'm not trying to be mean, but Goku and Gohan's original voices like hurt my feelings after the heroic voices done in Dragon Ball, and then but then there's other ones where I'm just like, I'll go with the sub, because it really to me comes down to one thing, and you probably already know this, it's emoting. Which group emotes better? And sometimes it's the dub, and sometimes it's the original voices. But I'm familiar enough with Japanese that I know the connotations on a sentence, and whether it's in dub or the original language, it's did you emote it? And like she said, she's 100% right, Marissa. You're 100% right. It's like, it could be either group, could be the one that wanted it more.
Yeah.
And cared.
It's just like movies. Some movies are good, some movies are bad. And it's fine. And that's something I've been trying to really get out into the anime community more and more, is I'm like, it's okay to criticize, what we're making. Sometimes it's not the best. Cool. And we're just, just also we want to get it out there that like it's not always terrible either.
It's so refreshing to hear you say that, because everyone gets so overly critical about being criticized, or they get their feelings hurt. But if you don't have criticism, you don't grow as a person. You don't become better as a professional. So it's actually, I'm glad you actually said that, because that's what we've discussed a lot more privately than on the show, but even on the show, we do get critical on some things that we discuss. So,
I'm starving for some good critique of my work, like actual solid critique that I can take and go, okay, I can improve on this, I can work on this. But so often, all you get is screaming matches, from one side or the other, being like, "This is terrible because I hate it," and then you have other people being like, "No, it's beautiful because they tried," and I'm like, I would like somebody to write like a column or make like a review video that actually breaks down the elements and talks about it. But you don't really get that for dubs. So it can create this kind of insular environment in the industry where, the people who are working on this stuff don't have anywhere to turn to get good, honest critique. And so they kind of have to tune everything out because everything's just shouting matches. And they're like, well, none of this helps me. What am I supposed to do except, just self-improve? And thankfully, a lot of the people in our industry are very good at self-improving and self-reflecting and being like, okay, next time I'm going to do this, that, or the other thing. But they're completely, they have to steer themselves because there's nowhere for them to go there's no like thoughtful movie critique or video game critique for anime dubs. But thankfully there's a couple YouTubers who are kind of starting to break that mold. I really like the Cartoon Cypher. They're a great set of guys who do anime dub critique and they break down what the industry is like, and I'm really in their corner, and I help fact check all their videos.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, you're already, and this is very genuine compliment, you're already ahead of the game by just the awareness. The biggest thing is to get currently, like you said, I've noticed with voice acting and anime in general and fandoms that it's very much all of column A or all of column B, and thus you either have to tolerate not very constructive criticism, which isn't helpful, or you've got people telling you you're doing a perfect job, which isn't helpful either. Because how do you improve if somebody goes, "There's nothing wrong, you're incredible," and you're like, I think I'm pretty good, but could you give me something useful? But then the other guys just go, "You're the worst thing," and your voice makes my ears bleed, and you're like, well, that's not true either.
Right.
Yeah, I can't do anything with either of these, although the former is much nicer. And I'm like, well, thank you. If you say that I'm doing a good job, I appreciate it. But yeah, I do like, very rarely I'll see like a journal, thread or something that someone's written on a blog or a news site or something where they break down something that I've worked on. I'm like, cool, man, you keep doing that. That's great.
Well, now we've got to mind you. This is the question we've been really wondering what the rest of the week, because we got to go so what new material are you working on that you can give us inside info on?
I can't give you much inside info, unfortunately, but I can tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm currently voicing my first anime lead. It's in a show called Kuma 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 Bear, and I am the bear. That is me.
Does that mean like bear, 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 bear? I think
yes, it does.
What's weird about that's bear, bear? Okay.
Bear, 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 bear. That's what it's about. It's about a girl who gets isekai'd into a virtual reality game that she's into, and she gets teleported there, but she's stripped of all of her armor and equipment. She doesn't have any of her skills, and instead she's given an all-powerful bear onesie. And through magic, she can basically do anything, but it has to be bear themed. Otherwise, it's not as powerful. So she can shoot bear fireballs and bear jets of water and bear lightning, but it has to be bear shaped.
That sounds awesome. Hilarious. And that is going to start a massive cosplay trend. Make sure you get ahead of getting your cut of the bear onesies. That's going to jump off, because I know how cosplay works, and that already sounds like that is about to be next con.
Oh, absolutely.
People dressing their kids up as little.
Once we go back to cons, I know they're doing
Once
virtual
we go back
cons.
to cons, I would love that. And it's fun because the character looks like your typical anime little girl. She's a little 15-year-old anime girl, but even in the subtitled version, she's got a very deep voice with kind of a deadpan delivery. So I get to mimic that, and it's very much just the way that I normally talk. So I'm like, that's me. That's my character. Very, very attached to her. Very glad I get to play her. And then also this season, I am directing a show called Arachi and Shimamura. It is a girls' love romance show. Very quiet, introspective kind of show. A lot of inner monologues and quiet pining and girls just growing up, having their first love. It's very cute. And that one, the first episode dropped a week ago. They skipped a week this week because of the winter storm in Texas. But then I assume next week we'll be coming back with episode 2, and then it's supposed to come out weekly after that.
And that's on Funimation, right?
Yes. Both of those are, yes.
Well, everyone make sure we check that out.
I've actually seen, too, the character for that, because the bear one. I remember I was looking at upcoming anime, And I remember looking at it, and it just said like Kuma like 4 or 5 times. I was like, and it had the character in a bear onesie, but I did not know it was an isekai. So that's because I looked at it and I immediately said, not for me. But like I'm an isekai fan, so now I'm like, well, it's an isekai. And I did watch that one about the slime, so it's like, all right, I'll have to check out a few episodes now. Because now this Bear Fireball, you won me over with that.
Girls doing cute things flavored, you know, like K-On! Or Lucky Star or something like that. But it's got an overlay of isekai fighting goblins, and she's got magic powers kind of thing.
Bear Fireballs. I'm telling you, you won me at Bear Fireballs.
Bear Fireballs.
But speaking of deadpan characters that one particular person here is a massive fan of, I guess we got to let him geek out for a moment now. I tried to get the business done first because we're about to lose him.
Yeah, so I've been playing Moe's for about a year or so. And what's funny is when we first, Borderlands 3 went on sale, and it was the deluxe edition, it was half off for $50. And we've been playing Gears of War 5 a lot for about 4 or 5 months, and that environment is just so toxic. And I said, hey, Q, Borderlands 3 is on sale. And we played 1 and 2 together. So we bought it, and I looked at the cast, and I was like, I want to play the bounty hunter. I want to play the robot. Wait a minute, robot. Never mind. He's gonna want to play the robot. Oh, it has a pet. Okay, never mind. I'll play something else.
It was done when it was like, wait, I get to play, because I also like characters that kind of don't have. I like robots. I like gender neutral characters. I like characters that are just like, I'm a machine. And then I said, and he's got a monster pet, and I just told him no. And I mean, I not only was it I'm gonna play it, I said I want to be the only one. I wouldn't even allow him to play flag.
And so I looked at the other cast members and like, well, Zane looks interesting. The operative, I'm like, and the siren, I tried playing sirens in the past, and I just can't get into the whole psionics thing. And I was like, Gunner, oh, they have a mecha. Oh, this is me. Oh, and they specialize in splash damage.
Oh, you and rocket launchers.
I have terrible accuracy, and they have 5% accuracy, but my build has such a large splash radius. Plus, it chains. I'm like, okay, this is me. So I've had a blast playing Moe's, and it's hilarious just listening to some of the dialogue that Moe's has. So, how much fun did you actually have playing Moe's, and how much of Moe's is actually Marissa?
Oh, gosh. Well, so it's funny because for a long time, people would ask me, like, did you improv any of Moses' lines? Like, you know, how much of it is improv? And I want to say like 90% of it is not. It was written that way. And I just came in and I was like, she's already me without me having to change anything. They wrote this character and I was like, I identify with her so hard because she does. It's basically my natural voice. Not a lot of changing to it. And she's got this snarky, you know, East Coaster kind of vibe that I already have. So I'm like, this is great. And the guy who cast me, the director, Joel McDonald, he has known me since I started in voiceover in Texas. He cast me in my second named character, which was Mistress Sadie in One Piece. So he's known me since kind of the beginning of my professional career. So by the time we got to Borderlands, he was like, you got this. Like, go ahead, just go for it. And I was like, cool, man, this is great. I loved playing that character, especially since I got to go to Gearbox every time we would have a recording session. I'd get to see the giant statues that they have there, and they've got art prints on the walls. Everybody's working on the game. And you kind of walk past all these, you know, cubicles and people play testing and stuff to get to the recording booth. It was just a nice environment. It was a good place to go and, you know, be creative and be in the moment of like, here's my character. Let's go for it. It was easy. It was like one of the easiest characters I've ever had to play because everything that came out, they were like, yeah, she'd say it like that. Yeah. And then when I finally did improvise a little bit, I was like, yay, I get to kind of sprinkle a little bit of, you know, my personality into the character. And it's very minor. Like I said, I would even say 99% of it is as written. That's what they wrote for me. But like the first time I improvised, was during the first DLC. She meets a robot who's a mime, and it's as written. It's you know, she's like, all right, mime, like tell me whatever, and then she goes, yeah, keep miming. Like she clearly doesn't know how to talk to this guy.
Exactly.
But earlier in that same script, she gets really passionate about jugglers for some reason. She's like, "You're more annoying than a juggler." That's right, I said it. A juggler. And I'm like, what is her problem with circus performers? So when we got to the mime, I was like, keep miming, like disgusted, which was a completely different read. But they were like, yeah, let's do that. She hates mimes for some reason.
She hates them.
Like very minor stuff like that. And I was just like, yay. And then the second time I got to improv was DLC 2 or 3 was Guns, Love, and Tentacles.
Oh, that's my favorite one. Oh, I love
2.
that one.
Yeah.
That's the second one.
Yeah.
She meets the amnesiac detective.
Oh, that's my favorite. I love that mission.
I know that guy's awesome.
So funny.
He didn't do the mission, and I actually told him, "You've got to go get the Sixth Sense." Like, what? It's a pistol, but you'll really enjoy the story and spoiler alert, as he's trying to go through remember his daughter, but yeah, that was one of my favorite non-mandatory side missions actually.
But I want to hear her improv for this though, because that quest was
absolutely
amazing to me. Like I'm really curious.
But you didn't play as her; you played as Flack, so you don't even know what almost.
I'm curious what she said.
Exactly.
But I was won over by Flack with the "You can't have her," and I was like, "No, you can't." I was on my feet, like, "You can't have her." You're right, Flack, and I was like gutted like a maniac. So I was like, it seems like such an emotional scene.
Oh yeah, and this line came before that scene. Although I quite like how that scene came out too. I was like, yeah, it's cool, emotional moment, especially since Mose is so guarded. Getting to have a moment where she's like, "Come on, sweet girl." She's talking to this girl real nice. I was like, "Aw, sweet." But before that, when you're still walking around with the detective, he asks several times. He's like, "What was your name again?" And there's one point where it was Mose, but you're going to forget anyway, so why bother? And I was like, can I change this? And they said, what do you have in mind? And I was like, so I've memorized her full name from the first time I said it, because I was streaming the game on Twitch. So every time someone would pop into the chat, they'd be like, are you really Mose's voice actress? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, say her full name. And I was like, okay, Mosera Hayuseni and Yonnuna Lamir Andreevna. And they're like, oh my God, you really? So like, I got used to saying the name and I was like, can I just fuck with him basically by being like, he's like, what's your name again? And she previously introduced herself as Mose, but now she goes, Mosera Hayuseni and Yonnuna Lamir Andreevna. And don't forget it. And I was like, isn't that just such a shit gremlin thing to do? And they were like, yeah, that's great.
I actually remember that now that you bring it back up again, which was absolutely hilarious. But I'm like, how many names is that in her full name? It's like 4 or 5 names.
She's got a ton of different names.
My favorite Mose moment, the only time I was not upset with him for Mose getting the dialogue option is that I used to play the Necromancer, in the previous game. So
Gage.
I played Gage religiously, so when Mose walks up and they're talking and she talks about her best friend Roman and goes, "Oh, as a person, yeah, my best friend's a robot too," and I was just like, "Oh, that's so cool, man!" Like, 'cause I loved Gage, and I was just like, "Oh, she actually had a unique dialogue when she makes the comment about, yeah, I have a robot best friend as well," and I thought like Gage and Mose bonding moment, and I said, "Okay." You win this one.
Yeah, because sometimes in the game, you don't have to press any button on the controller to invoke dialogue. You have to walk into a certain area, and then whoever's closest will start the dialogue. And I get impatient. He's off doing something, and I'm like running around, and I'm waiting for him at the person to talk to, and then Mo starts doing his
the
thing.
map, looking through the guns, the other part of the game, then just running head first.
Dude, I have my rocket launchers. I'm good. I've used the same. Go ahead.
Oh, I think my favorite Mose Gage moment is the after party of that DLC. When the dude from like the Viking camp is there.
I love that guy.
We slash.
Yeah, and Gage is sloppy drunk, and she's like, "Isn't he hot?" And Mose is just like, "Not my type, but go get it, girl."
I like that because like Mose bonded with Gage, and then Flack bonded over the hut with the we Slosh guy, and it was so weird. He's the only character that got the knife, and he was just like, "Oh, so it's testicles." He's like, "Whatever." None of the other characters took it that well, but he's just kind of like, "I'll eat human testicles. I don't care. I'll eat monster testicles. I don't care." And I'm just like, I love Flack just because of how weird he is. But Mose and Gage is the best.
Oh yeah.
You know, like her finishing ceremony when she does the marriage ceremony was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
it's the only one I liked as much as Flack. But Flack's just crazy because like as the ambassador of death herself, and I'm just like, you made all that up, man. You don't have his title. But then Mose just like does like a military shotgun wedding. She's just like,
it was something like from the license I got from Night and Mech School or something like that.
Yeah, it's like mechanical engineering.
Yeah,
and it's like, what are you talking about?
She's more legit than Flack, who's like decided he's the ambassador of death. And he's like, I was the ambassador of death, which I guess covers love. It's like just, I now pronounce you humanoid and humanoid. I can't remember all of it, but it was hilarious because it was just so BS, but he sounded so serious. Like he really knew what he was talking about. And I'm like, I was a librarian before this, man. I know your story. Like, we were an archive robot. But both of those characters are amazing. That's why the DLC was unique, because in no other DLC did I really notice, except for maybe DLC 4, Krieg's Mind, when they're talking with Krieg, and the PTSD moments, you know, the kind of talking about, you know, yeah, I know, man, I've seen some stuff too, was pretty cool. And I did think that Mose had a better also set there, because she's kind of, you know, if you listen to her dialogue, I picked up on that she's clearly, like, she lost her squad. You know
seen
what I mean?
some shit, yes.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool hearing that compared to Flack, who's just kind of like, oh, man, we're all going to die. Like, you know, he wasn't as sensitive.
Okay,
he was like, you're going to die. You're definitely going to die. So why be all broke up about it? And I'm just like, wow, you're not good. This is not your... I love it. It's in character, but it's clear that he's just like, oh, it's okay, man. There's two of you in here. Kill one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, it was cool with Mose because every DLC she opened up more.
Mm-hmm.
Like the main game, she's very guarded, and people actually critiqued the character for being too like one note. They were like, she doesn't emote, like she doesn't seem to react to anything. The only time she's laughing and having a good time is when she's literally killing people.
I know.
And I was like, yeah, but like that's the point. And then as time went on and she talked more about basically her PTSD and the fact that she doesn't feel anything unless she's killing people, and that's the only time that she feels happy anymore. I'm like, yeah, we kind of established that in the beginning, but we didn't get to open up about it until, you know, DLC 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I was invested. I was like, let me, do I get another like scene where I get to kind of, you know, just peek in a little bit, you know, open up just another layer of her. And sometimes, you know, we'd go a whole DLC where it's just like, no, we're just cracking jokes and we're being serious military lady. And then other times we'd get a little peek behind the curtain and I'm like, ooh, look at that. Ooh.
She was having a lot of fun in Gehenna. Like, I thought it was hilarious that when he was playing with me, that like Mose got way too into the cowboy thing. She was obviously having a great time.
I had the
and
cowboy
you were
hat.
obviously as her. She was just like, "This is awesome. I'm the sheriff." She just like, "Ooh, a shootout." And I was just like, "Wow, we found what Mose enjoys, and apparently it's like a western."
I had the cowboy hat and everything on. I mean,
yeah, he went in as Deputy Mose. And Flack was just like, I want to buy chew toys for Mike. His whole thing, everything just annoyed him, but I like it because it was the first time the roles reversed that, like, Flack just seemed to be like, I was supposed to be getting paid. Like, and it's just like, he's just all business, and Mose is just like, yippee-ki-yay, I'm having a great time.
Yeah, totally flip-flop from most of the time, because most of Moses' dialogue is like, I'm here for a paycheck and I don't care what happens. We're just gonna, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
This might as well happen to me. All right. And then just that DLC, she was like, I am having a blast. I loved when she was like, I taught our cat to shoot, so I can teach you to shoot, dude. It's fine.
And Flack is just like, you're pathetic and will probably die, but we'll see what we can. I'm just like, wow. It was a weird flip. And the beast, when you got the motorcycle, and how disappointed Flack was that it wasn't actually a beast. He's like, that is not a beast. But Moses is like, awesome. And Flack's just like, that's not a beast. Do you not know what a beast is? I'm sorry. And see, this is why I knew. So I guess I lied. I'm geeking out too. This is.
We've had so much fun playing Borderlands, and we've got several videos. Yeah, we are a nerd.
Yeah, hey, my only critique I have of her is more cat slaps. That was the funniest
That
thing
was
I've seen
awesome.
in a long time.
But going back a little bit, so you didn't record all the DLC in one shot. You actually did the game and came back and did the other voiceover for the other expansion packs later on, right?
Yeah, so we would record Borderlands in snatches of like, I would say 2 to 3 hours at a time. So I would drive there almost every week, hop in the booth, do 2 to 3 hours because it was vocally stressful sometimes. Most of Moe's is at a very normal, just talking volume. And I was like, I could do this all day. I can just talk. But then at the end of the session, usually for the last hour or so, we do battle grid stuff. And battle grid is just, all the yelling and okay, this is killed this guy and, you're doing this, that, and the other. And that would be vocally taxing. We'd end it with one of the status effects. So they'd be like, okay, we need 30 seconds of being electrocuted, 30 seconds of being on fire, 30 seconds of being frozen. So we do one of those every day, and it was split up over several different days so that my voice wouldn't get tired out. So by the time we were done, I had gone there dozens of times, and then they were like, okay, we'll see you back here for the DLCs. And I did, I want to say the first 2, maybe 2.5 in the studio. And then the pandemic hit. And I finished up, actually, no, maybe it was only just the first 1.5 because I finished up Guns, Love, and Tentacles from home. And I did the rest from home, my home studio.
Nice.
I was very glad that my home studio was up to the task because I wanted it to be perfect. And then I would stream it and be like, it's so weird. I recorded that at home in my pajamas.
I couldn't tell the difference, actually.
Yeah, honestly, it sounded fine to me.
Yeah, the quality didn't seem to change at all.
So DLC 5. I'm gonna try to dig here. So DLC 5, what did you think of that?
I wish.
Man, I gotta try, man. I want it because we bought the next season pass and we were nervous because all the DLC seem to be, like you said, growing, at least for Flack and Mose in particular, both of those characters, even though, because I have an Amara, but it seemed like Flack and Mose, you really kept seeing more of their philosophy, or in Moses' cases, her opening up. And I was enjoying that. And I was really hoping that, I know we've got the raid boss coming up.
The director's cut, yeah.
The director's cut. But I really was hoping another DLC where we would get to look further into these two characters would really come out. So
yeah,
I know you can't tell me,
I think the last thing I recorded was Arms Race.
All right, you're not gonna slip up. You're good. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to pull like a little shot of what's coming up out because I suspect at least one more DLC is coming. I have high suspicions.
Yeah, Arms Race is tough. Actually, that's where some guys have actually reached out regarding my Moe's build, wanting to know more about Arms Race.
What build works on? Nothing works on Arms Race.
And that's just it. I'm like, I'm soloing Arms Race on Mayhem 10, but you walk in with no skills. I walk in with 1 health point because I run a Deathless build.
They fixed that. We're not going to be mean. They fixed that, or you show up with health. Because you play Mo, so you know. I mean, you play voice and Armo, so I don't know what I'm telling you, but yeah, he does the Deathless build, and like he would show up, and I'd be walking, I look over, he's got 1 hit point, and I was like, "You're not gonna last."
My screen's all red, yeah, it's pretty rough.
But for me, it was just throw Tediors. It was I played like Moe's. I was like, throw explosives. That's how you win. Then they went in and kind of patched that, and I said, well, now I've got to learn how to shoot straight.
I think one of the hardest secrets I ever had to keep, aside from the game itself, because we recorded it like a year before it even got announced, and I was like, I can't tell anyone that Borderlands 3 exists or that I'm in it. That was one of the hardest secrets I had to keep. But then after that, the hardest secret I had to keep was Iron Cub, because I was so excited.
Oh. Iron Cub looks so cool. I mean, I'm a pet player, man, and I can't get him to play Iron Cub. Yeah, I'm gonna snitch on you. He won't play Iron Cub.
And I'll tell you why. Is because everything that I built with Moe's is action skill not action skill active. So I have to rebuild.
I've been farming for you. I sent you a few action skill actives.
I have them in my locker.
Like, I'm still waiting for the broken mod that lets me have 2 pets out at once for Flat. Because I am a pet player, and I'm like, I want my Skag and my Spider Ant to frolic Like, I've been wanting to have them both out. But like when I saw Iron Cub, I was like, they're trying to get me to play Moe's. They're trying because I was like, look at him, he's got little missile launchers.
He's a little guy. And I got in trouble because whenever I did Iron Cub lines, I would turn my head down as if I was looking at him. And Joel was like, you can't do that. You're off the mic. You're off the mic. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I want to look at him.
So you just told me something. I need a second mic down here. Like that's what you do.
I have tinkered with the Iron Cub a little bit because there's a lot of good elemental status bonuses in that.
Well, much tree. Like my pets, there's a lot of wonderful exploits for Iron Cub because pets rule. You know, you can get your pets really dangerous.
Yeah, when you send your pet over to me and then I get all the aggro.
Well, I do that to you to mess with you.
I can hold my own. If
you had Iron Cub, you'd be fine. See, tell them, Marissa,
no.
if you had Iron Cub, you'd be okay.
No, I go down 3 times. I have to get an Iron Bear just so I don't die.
I do ghost him a lot and make him have to fight it. But you want to know what? He can handle it. But we're getting the award ceremony finger roll from the editor. Yeah, I'll call you out. I don't care. I told you I snitch on everybody.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at mob control. So, all right.
Yeah,
so
we're geeking out. Sorry, Marissa. We really love the game and your character.
Oh, I've had and I had reached out to all the voice actors, and you responded back, and you were like, "Let's do it." I'm like, "Sweet," because if the other 3 don't come on board, that's fine. But the fact that I got my character, it was really special for me.
He's been rubbing it in.
Oh, well, dude, I mean, like I'll say, the Borderlands community is so great. Some fandoms, don't want to interact with the actors, and I get it. Like, they just don't care. They don't want to interact. But the Borderlands community is so nice. They reach out to the actors. You guys want to chat with us and chat about the game. And I got to do a couple streams with some Borderlands streamers where they brought me on and they carried me completely.
They're all rookies, man. We're the real deal.
Oh, we'll carry you through the Guardian Takedown, late Mayhem 10.
That's our only bragging rights. We play the hardest.
Nice. Because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I'm not very good at this mayhem thing. And they were like, it's okay. Let's go. We're going to have a good time. Here's some guns. You'll be all right. And I was like, aw, cool, man. And then I went back to my regular no mayhem playthrough and I was tearing through stuff. And everyone's like, where'd you get that gun, Marissa? And I was like, well, if you were here last week, you saw that Psychotic Wolf helped me, gave me some guns. It was very nice.
We do that too. Like when we stream, we tell people like we sit on Mayhem 10 guns and we're just like, hey, do you want the most powerful rocket launcher in the game? We've got 5 of them in every element. And I've had people like start playing it to play Gears with us, and they'll freak out because they're like playing. They're like, I'm gonna try Borderlands, and then they look at their mailbox and like, I got a level 60 URAD Mayhem 10 Plague Bearer, and just like I was like, yeah, man, don't worry. When you get to that level, it'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. It'll be great.
Yeah, my son he plays the operative, and we got one of our other friends to play Amara. So we were doing a lot of 4-man Guardian Takedowns.
I freaked your son out so bad because I farmed so much. I had all his class mods, so he's just like, yeah, I'm playing Zane. I want to try this build. Here it is. Well, they say I need this gun. Here it is. He's just like, do you have something for every class? It's like, yes, I have every class's class mods. Like, you play a character, I have your weapon and your class mod.
I think I got about 50 Moe's class mods in my safe.
I've got Amara still. I've been building up more Amara, and just in case they come back for, our friend Emu who plays Amara. I'm like, when she comes back, I've got her new class mod. It's like I have her purple arms race class mod waiting on her.
Those are the ones I do need to farm at some point is go get this purple one in case I actually want to go Iron Bear. So, all right, wrapping up, we do want to make sure that all of our fans that are watching the show or listening to the podcast, how can they find you, whether it be social media or also your personal website?
Yeah, I'm at Marissa Lenti on pretty much everything. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my website is www.marissalenti.com. So it's nice and simple, nice and easy to remember.
Absolutely. She has a store on there as well. I'll be honest, I did go ahead and go to her virtual con and get an autographed Moe's poster. So
yes.
Just keep running. You got an intro. I know. Okay, you win. You win everything.
I wasn't gonna go there, but since you spoiled it, yes, I did get a shout out that Marissa had recorded to introduce gameplay videos, which I've got two Gears videos lined up. I'm gonna do my Moe's build video. Q's going to do a
I
flag
know
build
what you want to do. I
video.
want you to know what she's doing.
So I'm going to add her
asked
to
you.
all those. Even though it's Gears of War, I'm going to add Marissa to in front of Gears of War as well.
I know. I watched your videos and it popped up and this is Marissa Lenti, and I was like, all right, that is our new gaming channel.
Why not?
Hey, maybe
I should probably mention. I've got a store on that website for autograph cards and keychains and stuff. But there are some things that are convention exclusive, and right now Color World Books is running an event with me. So all of my convention exclusive prints, which include Mose, Joanna Greenleaf from Ruby, Grey Wolf from Kimono Friends, Chiaki Hoshinomori from Gamers, and a couple other exclusive prints are all available through them. So if you go on to the Color World Books site and you get an autograph from me, you can pick what character you want me to sign.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and actually, when I went on to it, I assumed, and she can probably clarify this, it actually asked for like a annotation for the signature. So do you actually write whatever they put on there as well?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, any personalized message.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm gonna have a 2 blood axe message from Marissa Lenti.
I'm gonna with the owner looking at me. I'm gonna sit up there now. I have to go get one and say subscribe to Dice Junkies. Right, subscribe to Dice Junkies from Marissa.
Yeah,
Lenti.
frame it, put it in the background, and they also do metal prints, which are very cool.
Those are popular now. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like these metal. I mean, they're the same prints, they're the same artwork, but they're metal, and they print them on demand. And so if anyone orders them, they send them to me. I sign them. I send them back. It's really cool.
I've seen them. They look cool. They put them up with magnets. Like I've seen like Angry Joe a lot of times talking about it, and I've been looking at it going like, I don't do a lot of wall decorations, but if it's signed, I would probably put up a metal print.
It's gonna go in my game room.
Now you're a collector. He will have like next time he's on Dicejunkies, it'll probably be right there, visible in the back.
Well, because the Skype, I have to use that background drop. It
yeah.
would probably cover it up, but
You messed that up. Don't worry. We see like your helmet and other stuff in your room, your kids.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. I drove 3 hours away, so I was playing Mose this morning. I got messages from my 11-year-old who was sending me, "Hey, Dad, we miss you. When you gonna come home?" I said, "I'll be back tomorrow. I promise."
You've only been gone a few hours. Like you literally like left yesterday, so they're already messaging like, "We miss you." I was like, "Wow, that's sweet."
Oh, I have 4 sons, so they range from 19 to 9. The twins, actually, what's interesting is they were born on different days. One was 10 minutes to midnight, the other one was the following day.
Oh wow!
So
well, that's fun. They get their own birthdays.
They do. On August the 4th, Tobin gets to pick where we go out for dinner, and then August the 5th, Wyatt gets to pick where we go out for dinner, and then Caleb, who was on August 18th, so it's a couple of weeks later.
Oh, wow.
So we have one birthday party in between so that family can come in, and we have one big party, but they all have their own special day as well.
You're like on some kind of cycle, like you breed like an animal. It's like, this particular time is when I have kids.
Hey, man, it's when it's cold in December, it happens.
Oh, Lord.
My brother, his kids are pretty much all in November.
Oh, there you go.
I'm like, how did you do that? How are they all in November? And he's like,
Well, February's cold too.
I love the. Oh, wait. So this is the famous Dice Junkies, and now we've gone sideways. And what are we talking about?
If you ever watch the show, that's not uncommon. The rabbit holes we go down or go to the Underdark almost in some cases.
We'll be like, hey, you heard this game's coming out. The next thing we know, we're like, and Star Wars. And we're like, wait, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Mortal Kombat. How did we get to Star Wars?
All right, so we'll wrap this up. And again, thank you very much, Marissa, for your time. We very much appreciate you, and we look forward to your future content, both video game-wise, anime-wise, but also your director credits and writing credits as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Lots of fun. Like you said, he'll be advertising Mose. We've already decided we're gonna see if we can run through that raid. We're gonna try to get a Mose needs no one video is our goal. I'm gonna try to coach him up. I already know I can do it, Flack. I'm amazing. But we're gonna try to get Blood Axe through the raid by himself so he could be like, Mose needs no one but the Cub. You know what? Now I want you to do it with the Cub.
I'll tinker more with the Iron Cub, and then I'll shoot her an email and see what the video and see what she thinks.
Yeah, we'll be like Iron Cub. Me and my Iron Cub are all I need. Video. There we go. Well, all right.
All right, well, yeah, it's only the two of y'all on camera. So which one of y'all are gonna do the end roll? You know, say goodbye to everybody. I'm not doing it because I'm off camera.
Oh, I'm the guest. Okay. Well,
We could let Marissa do it. She's better than all of us.
she probably is.
You want to do the outro, Marissa?
Sure. What's the
You
outro?
get, you get the improv. Whatever you want.
Yeah,
We're not that formal.
Just thanks for watching and
like,
see you
subscribe,
next
thumbs
time.
up, all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe. Is this on YouTube? Should they ring that bell?
Absolutely.
Yes, make sure you ring that bell. And hopefully you guys will be tuning into more Dice Junkies in the future.